All right, as we find this position with our feet resting on the wall, close our eyes. Let our shoulders rest heavy. Allow our spine to remain in a neutral position. Checking in that we have the natural curve of our low back. As we start our practice off and legs up the wall, we're going to begin to move and find a more dynamic flow against the wall. So I want to make sure that you feel comfortable in our starting position. Make sure the knees have a soft bend. So if you have a tendency to hyperextend your knees, make sure your pelvis, your back of your thighs, and your knees have a great relationship where the knees stay softly bent. If we're hyperextended, meaning we're pushing our knees towards the wall, then I want you to scoot away from the wall a little bit. Keeping our eyes closed, checking in with our breath. Allowing our breath to slow down. Checking in that we still have that curve of our low back. Our hips still rest flat. We have length through the back of our legs, but yet we still have a soft bend in our knees. Our feet may be gently rolled out. Our tailbone might be slightly tucked, but the back of our hips are still resting on the floor. And we still have that curve, that inward curve that lifts away from the floor in our low back. Keeping our eyes closed, let's bend our knees and slide our feet down the wall to a place that honors us. Arms stay relaxed out as we use the wall as a prop for this knees to chest position. And extending one leg at a time, let's press one heel up to the ceiling, keeping that soft bend in our knee. We flex our foot to find mobility in our ankle. And then bend our knee, put it back on the wall. Extend our other leg, pressing our heel up to the ceiling, keeping a micro bend in our left knee. Bending our knee, place our foot back on the wall. Slide our other foot back up, keeping a micro bend at the top. And then bending, drawing our knee towards our chest, extending our other leg, and bend, and extend, and bend, and extend. Alternating which leg that we're bending and extending. And then drawing both knees in towards our chest, letting our knees stay relaxed down. And extend both legs up. Keeping our feet hip width distance apart, let's cross our right leg over our left, and then slide our right foot down our leg and bend our left knee. Extend our left leg and bend our knee. Extend our leg and bend our knee. Extending and bending. Continue to flow. If you find that there's not a whole lot of room, then scoot yourself away from the wall a little bit and then continue the movement. And then slide our left leg up, slide our right foot back up the wall, cross our left leg over our right, and then bend our left knee as we slide it down. And our goal is to get below our right knee, but that doesn't mean that's where we're going to land. And then bend our right knee, drawing our knee towards our chest, and then extend our leg. Bend our knee and extend our leg. Bend, taking our time, and extend. Find a couple more. And extend our right leg. Slide our left foot back up the wall. Cross our right leg over our left again, and then slide it down below our knee. Bend our left leg, drawing our knee towards our chest, making sure that we feel the stretch at the base of our right glute. Make sure that our left knee is about in line with our hip, maybe walking it out a little bit more, and noticing how that feels at the base of our right hip. Now taking our right hand, place it on the inside of our right leg. And then I want you to actively push your right foot or your right knee towards the wall without using your hand. Once you find your full range of motion, place your right hand on the inside of your leg and hold it in that position. Then pushing our leg into our hand and resisting with our hand. Notice that the pelvis tilts forward, your tailbone presses down. More importantly, notice that there's work involved in the base of your hip. And then relax. Let your right knee soften in towards your chest. Take your right hand to the outside of your knee. Using that range of motion, your full range of motion, by using your right leg, and then use your right hand to hold yourself in that position. But we only get in that position with the strength of our right hip. As we hold this in range of motion, push your knee into your right hand and resist with your hand. Again, same position in our hips, tailbone draws down, hips tip forward, and relax. Releasing our right hand, extend our left. We're going to slide our right foot up towards our left ankle, and then slide it back down. Sliding it up, and slide it down. One more time, slide it up and slide it down. Reach our right foot back up the wall and place our right foot on the wall in line with our hip. Take our left leg, cross it over our right, slide our leg down. Make sure that bony part of your ankle is on the outside of your leg. And then bend your right knee, hugging your left knee in towards your chest. Press your left knee towards the wall. Then take your hand, place it on the inside of your leg to support your leg in this position. Keeping your full range of motion with your right leg. Actively press your right knee or left knee into your left hand, resisting with your hand. And relax. Take your left hand to the outside of your left knee. Push your left knee forward. Find your full end range of motion. Then support that with your hand. Then press your hand into your leg and push your leg back into your hand. And relax. Slide your right foot up, followed by your left. Keep that soft bend in your knees. Feel your pelvis tip forward so your tailbone's kind of pressing down. And then I want you to drive your right foot into the wall, enough to feel the back of your right hamstring engage. Keep that press of your right foot into the wall start to bend your right knee, like you're dragging your heel down the wall. Keep pressing, don't let go. And then when you get to the bottom, I want you to soften. Let your hips relax. Then roll your right knee out, but don't take your left hip with. Lift it back up and bring it back out, rolling to the outside of your foot and bring it back in. And one more time, rolling your knee out and come back up. Press your right heel into the wall and slowly slide it up. Keep pressing your heel into the wall. When you get fully extended, relax your right hip, your right leg. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. Press our left heel into the wall using about 50 to 60% effort. Then start to drag your foot down the wall. Keeping that pressure, don't let it release. When you get all the way down, hold. Take our left knee out to the side. Keep your right hip stable. And bring our knee back up, nice and slow. And roll it back out. And lift it back up. Hold with our knee in the upright position. Drive our heel into the floor, lift our toes away, or into the wall, I'm sorry. And then start to press your left heel up, like you're trying to push the wall up. When you get to the top, relax, letting your hips soften, your legs soften. Then bending our knees slightly, let our feet rest on the wall. We're going to tuck our shoulder blades underneath us one at a time. So start walking them in so our chest stays open. Then slide our feet down to a place that's comfortable for you. Lift our hips up off the wall or off the floor a little bit and hold. If you feel crunched up, put your hips down, scoot yourself away from the wall a little bit. Tuck the shoulder blades back underneath you. Palms come to your side, chin tucks, and then lift your hips a little bit and hold. Feet are pressing into the wall, hips lift up. Then slowly lower down. Letting our tailbone come all the way down, putting that big curve in our low back. Press our feet first, lift our hips. Try to keep that curve as much as you can. You don't have to lift your hips very high. And then lower your hips down and soften. And then drive our heels, lift our hips. You can start to walk your feet up the wall a little bit. Taking a little more weight to the top of our shoulders. And then slowly lower our hips down. Let our hips soften, let our feet relax down. And one more time. If you want to walk your feet up, feel free to do so. Lift your hips up to a place that honors us. Slowly lower our hips down. Extend our legs back up the wall. Make any adjustments you need. If you need to scoot forward or scoot back. Then grab a hold of one of our blocks. We're going to keep our block at a level 1. Slide your feet down the wall a little bit. Lift your hips. Place the block underneath your hips. Lower your hips onto the block. Let your tailbone press down so that you have a curve, an inward curve of your low back, and then extend your legs up. Making sure this feels okay on your spine, your hips, the back of your legs, your shoulders. And bending our knees again, lift our hips. Release the block out from underneath our hips. Place it off to the side, lower our hips down. Extend our legs back up. Cross our right leg over our left again. This time I want you to keep your right knee pointed towards your body as you slide your right foot down the outside of your left leg. Keep your knee in the midline of your body, so the center of our body. If you want to take your hands to your leg and hug it in, feel free to do so. If you'd like to bend your left knee, you can do that as well. Just make sure that your right knee doesn't roll out, that it stays hugged in. Slide our right foot back up the wall, place it on the wall, in line with our hip. Left leg crosses over our right. Slide it down, keeping your left knee hugged in. So we're making sure the knee stays in line with our spine. And you have the same options. Hand can come to the outside of our left knee. We can bend our right leg. Just make sure we don't roll our left knee out. Slide our left leg back up the wall in line with our hip. Bend both knees, sliding our feet down the wall. And then bring our feet close together. We're going to bring the soles of our feet together. Let our knees come out wide and let our heels soften down towards our tailbone. Now you may find that your feet come apart a little bit, and that's okay. And lifting our feet up by sliding them up the wall, bring our knees back together. And then bend our knees again. Let our arms open out like wings. And this all depends on how much room you have. We're going to walk our feet over to the right and let them come down to a place that honors you. Finding a little bit of a twist. Keeping both shoulders firm on the floor. And if you don't have a lot of room, just come to where you can. Then walk our feet back up the wall using core strength. And then walk our feet over to the left. Slowly slide your feet or walk your feet back up the wall. Again, using core strength. And then you're going to have two options. We're going to come away from the wall a little bit and come to a seated position. So you can either roll to one side, scoot yourself away, and then come up. As we find a seated position facing the wall a little bit, I want you to be able to touch the wall with your whole hand. So as we find our whole hand on the wall, we're going to start with our hand below our shoulder. So making sure we know where our shoulder is, our arm could be fully extended. And if you don't have a wall you can do this with, you can do it with a heavy piece of furniture, another small area. We're not going to be using the wall itself a lot. We're going to be pivoting our body with our hand. So feel free to move into a place that is a little more comfortable if you're kind of feeling crammed. So with our hand on the wall, we're going to rotate our fingers. So we're going to pivot our hand so that our thumb points up and then our hand stays below our shoulder. Now I want you to open up your chest by scooting away from your hand. So you're going to move away to a place that feels good for you. Now, you may find that you have to draw your hand down a little bit further. That's okay. You want to be able to sit completely upright. Have your arm straight with a micro bend at the elbow, thumb pointing up, and you're turning away from your hand. So pivoting away from your hand. Stretching across the front of our chest and across the front of our collarbone. Then feel the center of your chest lift up a little bit. Does that change the stretch for you? Does it make it more accessible? Then relax our chest, lean towards the wall a little bit, and then straighten your arm and lift your chest. Soften and relax, bending your arm, leaning towards the wall a little bit. And then press your hand into the wall, lift your chest. And bend your elbow, lean towards the wall, soften your rib cage. Then push your hand into the wall, straighten your arm, lift your chest. And one more time, bend your elbow, lean towards the wall, soften your rib cage. And then press and lift. And relax your arm. We're going to slide our hand down the wall and we're going to go to the other side. Placing our hand on the wall below our shoulder. Spread your fingers wide. Make sure that your arm can touch the wall, that you're a comfortable distance. Then rotate your hand until your thumb points up and your hand remains below your shoulder. Holding for a moment in a neutral spine. Then lift our ribs up, lifting our chest up. Feel mid-back engage, keeping the front of our ribs hugged in so we're not flaring our ribs forward. We're just lifting up a little bit higher. And then soften our rib cage, lean towards the wall just a little bit. And then push our hand into the wall, lift our chest. And soften our ribs and lean towards the wall a little bit. Push our hand into the wall, rise up. And soften and lean towards the wall. And press and lift. And soften and relax towards the wall. Let's slide our hand down the wall and then bring our hand to our lap. Take our feet out in front of us. Feet are wider than hip width distance apart. Walk your feet forward a tiny bit so that you can kind of lean forward a little bit. Then round your back like a Halloween cat, reaching your spine back behind you. Let your shoulders round forward. And then lift your chest up, tipping your hips forward. So you're finding cow pose in a seated position. And rounding. And lifting and lengthening. And round. And lift and lengthen. And round. And lift and lengthen. And round. And lift and lengthen. Bring our spines to a neutral position. Let's walk our feet in. We're going to bring the soles of our feet together again, but this time we're going to find a little bit of a different position with our legs. So with our feet together, I want you to slide your feet forward as far as you can get them and still keep your feet together. Then I want you to check in with your sit bones. Make sure that you're not pulling your glutes underneath you, that your tailbone can draw back. And then keeping these long legs, let's rise up tall through our spine. And from here, hinge forward from a flat back. Then slide your hands forward to a place that's comfortable for you. And then round your back. Lifting our chest first, straightening our arms, walk our hands up our legs, bringing our shoulders back over our hips. Hands come to the outside of our knees, lift them up. And then we're going to grab a hold of our therapy balls and our block, and we're going to come to a lying down position on our back. As we find our lying down position, we're going to start with our therapy balls in the bag. And we're going to keep them cinched up tight so they can't move. And remembering that when we use this anywhere near our spine, that the groove between the two balls is where our spine lands. So we don't actually put the balls on our spine themselves. So we're going to bend our knees, walk our feet in as close to our hips as comfortable for us. Block or towel should be nearby, so whatever you use for a prop. Then lift our hips up, and we're going to place the balls at about low back, just above our hips. Line it up with our spine, and then we're going to adjust the weight based on our need. So we're going to let our weight sink into the ball. I want you to keep the natural curve of our low back, stay off of our spine, releasing our hands, and you adjust the weight as it feels okay for you. Remembering that we stay off the spine. We don't let the tailbone drop down. We keep the natural curve. We're not tucking our tailbone either. So we're kind of keeping neutral position. And then we're going to lift our hips up, and we stay in that neutral position in our spine. And then we're going to roll the balls up a little bit and then lower down. And we're looking for a place that feels like there's a lot of tension, but we can still manage a little bit of pressure. And then come up, keeping our spine neutral. Roll the balls up a little bit further and lower down. We're not looking for a place of pain. We're just looking for tension. Keep that curve of your low back and rise back up. Roll up a little bit more. You're staying in the lumbar region of your low back. So it should all be an inward curve towards the center of your body. And some of you may not have any tension at all in this area, but we're just kind of looking and listening, kind of moving it around. If you've already found the top, kind of scoot down a little bit, see if you can find other areas in your spine you haven't reached yet. And then lift and lower. So we're just adding a little bit of pressure. Lowering down to find that pressure, lift up to release it. And then work your way all the way back down, staying above the hips. If you're prone to tension in your hips, be mindful as you get close to that area that the pressure that you're adding is something that's manageable for you. There should be no nerve pain, electrical kind of pain. We're only looking for soft tissue that might be tender or tight or holding on to tension. And this is just pressure and release. If you found an area that needs some attention, feel free to stay there. You're lowering down and lifting over the same spot. Otherwise, keep moving up and down your low back. And then lifting ourselves up, removing the therapy balls out from the low back region. Let our hips come down, keep that natural curve of your low back, and let that area stay soft. Then we're going to take our block, place it behind our head. Take the therapy balls in the bag, find the center of our neck, place the center of our neck on top of the therapy balls, letting our chin lift up. Now, while we're letting go of tension through our neck, we're going to re-stabilize our low back. Begin to lift our right heel. Make sure that we don't move our hips at all. Lowering our right heel, lift our left heel. And again, keeping the hips stable, don't let them move. The tendency is for the right hip to let go of everything going on in the left hip, and your pelvis will begin to tilt towards your heel. And I want you to try and prevent that by keeping your hips stable. Lower your left heel, lift your right. Lower your right, lift your left. Lower your left, lift your right. Lower your right, lift your left. Lower your left, lift your right. Then lighten up your weight on your right foot, like you're thinking about lifting it, but you're not going anywhere. Notice the extra workload that happens in your hips and into your low back. Lower your right heel down, lift your left heel. Lighten the weight of your left foot by stabilizing your hips and your low back. Lower your left heel back down. Lift your right heel. Feel the stability across the front of your belly. Lighten the load on your right foot. Option to lift your toes. You're staying light through the ankle. Your knee's not really lifting any higher. You're flexing your foot so that it clears the ground. Lower your toes, lower your heel, lift your left heel. Lighten the load on your left foot. Option to flex your left foot. There's work in the hips, in your low back, and in your belly. All while keeping our low back neutral position. So it's not rounding, it's not overextending. Lower your toes down, lower your heel, lift your right heel, followed by your right foot. Lower your right toes, your right heel, lift your left heel, lift your left foot. Lower your left foot, followed by your left heel, and completely soften. Notice how we feel through our neck. Option to rock our head side to side. Bring our head back to center. Lift our head, remove the therapy balls and the block. Place the block off to the side, lower your head down. Take the therapy balls outside of the bag. And we're going to place them underneath our shoulders. Sliding them in one at a time. drawing our awareness back to our bodies. Let our breath begin to deepen. Removing the therapy balls out from underneath our shoulders. And slowly roll to your right side. Pressing ourselves up. Finding our way back to a comfortable seat. Rising up tall through our spine. Placing our hands together in front of our heart. Let's seal in all that we found in this practice today. The practice of exploring our bodies using different props such as the wall and therapy balls. Finding movement through our hips, strength, as well as mobility. And noticing its relationship with our low back and our shoulders. Take this all as a gift that we can use off of our mat, enjoying the repercussions of our actions over the next couple days. Namaste.